In the few minutes that we have before we light the Heilige Neiros, so we'll spend a few minutes understanding a little bit of what is Chanuka, what are the Neiros, what are we meant to be looking at, what's the Yesod that's meant to go through our minds when we light the Gewaldige Menorah that we're about to light. So you should know a couple of things. There's a Heilige Chassam Sofer. The Heilige Chassam Sofer brings down Masechta Shabbos Daf Chov Beis on his Kedusha on the Shas. Chassam Sofer says, "Ve'ein mitzvah zu midrabanan, ela k'moshe kosav Chassam Sofer nihi dad lokas neiros be'etzem lav doraisa." We know that the lighting of the menorah is not a doraisa. That we know. It's not one of the mitzvahs doraisa. It's a mitzvah derabanan. Mikol mokav zu the Heilige Chassam Sofer. Chanuka gufei v'chol yomim tovim hakavuim al nisim doraisa ninu. And he brings a machlokes rishonim this way. That means that the ganze mitzvah and all of the things that we do on Chanukah were kaveh, they're originally instituted on Inyoni Daraisa. So we're talking about Nisim Daraisa, we're talking about something that Chassam Sofer says is very korov to a Daraisa. The Kavayosha, Perek Tzadivov, is Meirich in the Kedusha of the Neiros. The Kedusha of the Neiros that you look at, a Neiros Saloru Kodesh Heim. The Kavayosha brings down, and he writes, Shenogu leishav eitzala Neiros ala habit behem. The meaning is to sit by the Neiros, to stare at the Neiros. We've spoken about it before, that it's masak and it fixes up for the things that perhaps we shouldn't have looked at throughout the year. We can look at the Neiros of Chanuka, and it's like a remedy, it can fix it up. So the notion of the Kavayosha is like this. V'chol haner hadoluk l'dvar mitzvah yesh boy kedusha niflo gedoylo ein she. Says the Kavayosha, there's no measure, there's no amount to the kedusha of the Neiros that we are about to light. V'ilu hayinu zoichen asogos ruach hakodesh. So the Kavayosha, I'm quoting word for word. If we were able to merit the understanding, the kedusha, the level of ruach hakodesh, we would see the future in the Neiros. There's one in the tzaddikim say that they could look at the Neiros, they could push it, see what's going to happen that year. It's a level that, of course, we don't understand. It doesn't mean much to us. But one thing it does mean, and why I want to bring it to your attention, is because you should understand what the Neiros represent. True, we're not on that level, we don't understand it, but it's something. Which Maya brings the Vilna Goin. The Vilna Goin that says that the hachonas, before lighting menorah, the hachonas, preparing the wicks, preparing the oil, all the hachonas, Vilna Goin Rabbi say, preparing the menorah is like a chosan lifnei chupasei. Just like the preparation of a chosan for the chasana, weeks and months in advance, he's preparing. The day of the chasana is a time of preparation, busy doing this, busy doing that. I've been Zocher Baruch Hashem, they spend many hours with Chassanim on the day of the chuppah, and they're busy and they're preoccupied. Zog the Vilna Goin, preparation of the Neiros Chanuka is like a chosan that's about to go to the chuppah. Vilna Goin, Rabbi say. The Heilige Ribnitzer, Chosan Yugen Alani, the Ribnitzer, many times throughout the year, people came to the Rebbe and they said, Rebbe, we need the Yeshua, we need a salvation. You got to help us, give us brachas, give us something. The Heilige Ribnitzer said, I'll tell you what to do. Come to me right after I light the Neiros. When I'm sitting by the Neiros, whisper in my ear what you need, you'll get whatever you need. There's a certain siyata d'shmaya when a Yid is sitting by the Neiros that he is not able to get throughout any time of the year. In fact, Reb Yitzchakel's Liturchiva, Chosan Yugen Alani also, he wouldn't sit by the Neiros too long. He said, Poshet, if he sat by the Neiros too long, his neshama would leave his guf. He wasn't able to sit there for too long because the Kedusha is too much. Ha-Neiros, ha-Lolu, Kodesh, Heim. Rabbi say we don't understand these things. These are levels, even of the Vilna Goin. We don't get it. It means nothing to us. But one thing it can tell us is what we're about to do, the Maisa of Adlaka, we're about to do, isn't just a Maisa mitzvah. Of course it is. And that alone is Gevaldik. And that alone is Heilig. But it's got so much Kedusha packed in it that we have to understand that. And we have to appreciate it. So we know that the Mishnah tells us, in Masechta Shabbos, various oils We've spoken about it al pi halacha in the halacha shir in the morning. But we spoke about, the idea of the halachas, but the Mishnah goes through the wicks and the oils that are permissible for Shabbos Kodesh. Some of them are mutter, some of them are asa. What's the reason? What's the reason why, when it comes to Shabbos Kodesh, some of the oils and the wicks are excluded from the mitzvah? The reason is because the oil is not drawn into the wicks nicely. You've got to use a wick in an oil that the oil is drawn nicely into the wick. It doesn't hold the flame nicely. So in Mela on Shabbos, we're worried about Chilul Shabbos, so you can't use them. It protects us from Chilul Shabbos. Zukt the Gemara. The Gemara says, Psilos ushmonim she'omru chachamim ein madlike behem b'Shabbos. The ones that you're not allowed to use on Shabbos, all of the wicks, all of the oils that are forbidden on Shabbos, Zuk the Gemara, madlikim behem b'Chanukah, is allowed to be used on Chanukah. What does that mean? We've spoken about it. You're allowed to use anything on Chanukah. Fine. There's a modik in Ma'orei Naim. The Ma'orei Naim brings down from the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh a Gavaldig Yisoid al Pidis Chazal. Al Pidis Chazal, that any oil and any wick is allowed to be used on Chanukah. Zug the Ma'orei Naim, you look at it in this week's Parashah, Parashas Miketz, he brings down, and again he brings Talmidei Baal Shem Tov also, that the essence of Chanukah is something very unique. And that is, Chanukah can ignite a yid that even Shabbos Kodesh cannot. And he goes on to explain that sometimes, however Gavaldik Shabbos Kodesh is, people sometimes don't connect to Shabbos. People maybe don't even connect to other Yomim Tovim. And Shabbos Kodesh is a difficult day for a person to really connect as neshama, to get involved, to get into. Chanukah, however, can light up any neshama. Chanukah has the ability to light up anything, which is why the Heilige Ma'orei Naim, that's the reason why you're allowed to use any oil, you're allowed to use any wick, because Chanukah has the unique idea that it can light up any neshama. But we have to be able to do the work. We can become ignited, we can become on fire this Chanukah. The question is, how do we do that? So there are two ways of waking someone up by their sleep. When someone is sleeping, there's a few mahalchim that we use in yeshiva. But there are two be'ikah ways that we would say that, okay, these are the two ways of waking people up. Either you can make a very loud noise, and that can sort of wake them up. You make a loud noise, you clap, you scream, you shout, take drums upstairs, you make a noise, you can wake up the oilim, it can happen. There's another mahalach. Again, everyone responds to different mahalchim. There's another mahalach, and then it's put on the light. You put on the light, all of a sudden, put off the light, everybody goes Meshiga, get that light off, right? You put on the light, wakes up. Those are the two mahalchim that work. Everyone's different. Some people this one works for, some people that one works for, whatever it is. There's a Moedik Imrei Noyam. The Imrei Noyam in Perek Gimel and Kislev, in his droshes, writes down as follows. He says on Rosh Hashanah, how do they wake us up? We're all familiar with the Rambam. Everyone knows you take the shofar and you blow the shofar. Mishnascha, that wakes you up from your slumber, wakes you up from your sleep. So the Rambam, Elul, Tishrei, this is the time that we wake people up from the life of sleeping. How? With noise, loud noise. Zuk the Imrei Noyam, on Chanukah, we're awakened from our slumber with the light of the menorah. No noise, just with the light of the menorah. And the Imrei Noyam brings a raya to what he's saying for the words of the Novi and Zechariah that we read on Shabbos Chanukah. Bo Aleinu L'Tova, we say, Vayoshav HaMalach HaDoiver Bi V'yireini Ki'ish Asher Yeru Mishnasai V'yomer Elai Mo HaToroya V'yomer Re'isi V'hinei Menorah Zov Kulei V'gula Arosha V'shiva Niraseh Aleh. The angel who was speaking with me returned and woke me as a man is awakened from his sleep, and I see, behold, there's a menorah made entirely of gold with its bowl on top and its 7 lamps are on it. Zuk the Imrei Noyam, we sometimes forget about our mission on this world. We sometimes forget about what we are doing here. Rosh Hashanah comes along, Elul comes along, we're awakened with the noise of the shofar. Comes Chanukah, the Yom Tov of Chanukah, and we're awakened once again. But this time the light switched on. This time we have the aura of the light, the illumination of what the menorah represents. And that's something very, very special. Rabbi, so we're living in hard times. We barely even notice, by the way, that there's a war going on up the street. There are soldiers in danger every minute of the day. There are hostages that are still in captivity. We're living in hard times. But we have to recognize the miracles. We said many times that one of the reasons that we celebrate the Yom Tov of Chanukah with the menorah, with the neiros, is because it's the kiss. It's the kiss that Hashem gave us after the Milchama. Today we won the war. Today we won the war. Chanu Chafei, Kislev, we won the war, the Milchama, Rabbi Ba'ad Ma'atim. It was unbelievable. It was just unbelievable what happened. The Milchama, the war, Klal Yisrael, the Chashmonaim went out and they fought, which was in itself a miracle, and they won. And here we are. We're about to light the menorah. We're about to represent everything that happened with the light. Why? Because they found the oil that still had the signature, the sealing of the Kohen Gadol, and they lit it, and it lasted for 8 days, not 1 day. And that miracle was something, as the Pnei Yeshua says, was unnecessary. It didn't need to happen. But the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted to give us an extra hug, an extra kiss. And we represent the whole Yom Tov of Chanukah with that extra kiss. Rabbi said we're living in a war. We're living in times that are difficult. We all have challenges in our lives. We all have times that are hard, that are difficult. And we have to overcome those challenges. But what we have to do, and what Chanukah teaches us, is to look at the light from within the darkness. True, they're hard times. And it's true, many soldiers unfortunately have lost their lives. Many hostages have been killed. And we hope no more. And we hope those that are there, Be'ez Hashem, will come back b'shleimus. We Be'ez Hashem, we daven for that. But we have to look at the miracles. We have to look at the light. We have to look at the threats that we've been getting from some of the most powerful countries that people are scared of. And they've threatened us time and time again. And what's happened? Empty threats. Nothing happened. Rockets after rockets. Hundreds of rockets. And what happened? Nothing. These are from some of the superhuman power. These are the superpowers of the world. Everybody's scared of them. What's going to happen? They can destroy the world. But yet they can't seem to get a rocket to land in what we call heavy populated areas and affect, Baruch Hashem, anyone. It's unbelievable. When you see the stories, it's real. The Rebbeinu Shalom is protecting us. The Rebbeinu Shalom is watching us. We have to feel it. Just like they felt it then, we have to feel it right now. So I want to tell you a couple of mices that I heard myself. One of them, a non-religious soldier, completely not religious. He barely knows how to read a Chumash. He said it in English because I don't think he knows how to even read the Hebrew. And he said that he felt with the small stories that happened in his life over serving in the war over here over the last few months, more than a year already, when he felt himself that Hashem was holding his hand and protecting him. He said, number one, he was given at the beginning of his service shoes that didn't really fit him. His feet started to hurt. And he said one day all of a sudden somebody came in with a whole shipment of different type of army boots, and he managed to find an army boot that fit his feet exactly, and it stopped the pain. He said, I felt Hashem was watching me. Like it was a small thing, my feet were hurting me, but it helped me tremendously. And then he said as well, he was sent from Gaza to Lebanon, and as he's on his way, his wife and children that lived on the way up, he hasn't seen for months, he managed to see his wife, his 3 children, and his 4-month-old baby that he hadn't seen for a couple of months. It was an amazing feeling, he said, a feeling that Rebbeinu Shalom is helping me. He's watching me, he's protecting me, he's holding my hand. Again, something small, but he saw the light from within the darkness. I'll tell you another Mordecai Maisa. I heard this about an hour ago. From a Yid I'm close to. His name is Yeshua, he lives in Netanya. I don't want to give too many details away because I'm not sure if I'm allowed to repeat this publicly, because some of the details, I don't know if they are or they're not censored, but I'm going to say it anyway. This past summer, he told me, and again I have all the pictures and the videos of everything that he explained to me. So Yeshua told me that this past summer he was on a mission in Gaza, and they were on a mission to expand the Netzarim corridor. And the mission was supposed to be in and out. That was the idea. Turned out not to be that way, but that was originally the mission that he was sent on. He said the IDF made a terrible, terrible mistake. They understood, according to their intelligence, that the area was completely empty. It was sterile. There were no terrorists there. They had already bombed out most of the area. There was nobody around. So it was completely safe for the soldiers to go in. It was a massive mistake. They were completely caught by surprise. So what happens, how it works is they were meant to go into a university complex in Netzarim, and the IDF had already bombed it from above, from the air, but it wasn't enough. They need trained people to go inside and to put certain, explosives in certain places, and they'll be able to completely ground zero it, completely make it as if it was, nothing. That's what they needed to do, and that was their job. So how it begins is you start with Hummers and you go inside as far as they can get, and then they let them out and they go by foot and they trek up, a hike into this village, and they reach the university. So this Yeshua is a sharpshooter, and he says as follows. Again, I have the voice note, you can listen to it, I'll show you the pictures as well. He says he walked in to this area where the university complex was, and he says you're met with thousands, no exaggeration, he said, thousands of windows. Now in those windows, you have no idea what's behind those windows. It could be anyone. It could be anyone with anything. And he said as follows, these are his words pretty much. He said, I realized at that stage, I've got the army with me, I've got tanks over there, I've got, ammunition all over the place. Nothing is going to help me. There are thousands of windows around. Anyone could just pop out in one of the windows, do whatever he wants. I'm a dead man just walking. He said, the only protection I have is the Ribono Shel Olam. If the Ribono Shel Olam decided on Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur that I'm alive, then I'm going to live. If not, I'm dead. Those were the thoughts that went through his head at the moment that he's walking over there. And he said they get closer and closer, they enter the building, and all of a sudden the terrorists come out, and a couple of groups are already engaged in a literally point blank, close range with all the terrorists. And Baruch Hashem, they survived. And he said at one stage, a terrorist got up from one of the windows that was overlooking this university complex. I'll show you the picture afterwards if you want. And he's holding an RPG. And one of the snipers that were there randomly, and he said this, randomly was shooting at just a couple of windows. They do that to scare people off. They randomly shot at one window. That window, at that exact moment, one of the terrorists was standing up, RPG in his hand. A bullet shot his hand. He let go of the RPG fell. The next terrorist got up and already got shot at by all the snipers that were around. So he said, just that alone was unbelievable. And he said, then it continued. And he said there were a group of around 50 soldiers, and they're walking in what was like the plaza, like the open plaza in front of the university before the actual building. And they're walking, one by one through it, and they get there, and all of a sudden, said there is this huge blast, this explosion that you almost like your head, like a wind, you almost take a step back. It's like huge. He says an IED went off, and he said, uh-oh. At that point, he thought to himself, oh no, how many of my friends are no longer amongst the living? That was what went through his head. He knows what this is. They're trained. They understand these things. How many of my friends are no longer amongst the living? And he said the greatest miracle that he ever saw was that it didn't go off until every single soldier passed it. He said it was as if they were passing over a mine, and it didn't explode until every single soldier was passed. Not one of them got hurt, and literally tens and tens of them could have, Rahman al-Islam, be killed. He said he was there, he experienced it, and he said he felt the Ribono Shel Olam holding his hand. That's what happened. The Heilige Chofetz Chaim Schos Yugelani tells us as follows. Says the Chofetz Chaim, that's why Chanuka is always in the winter. It's always this time of year. It's dark outside, it's cold, some places it's raining, stormy. It's a time that's difficult. It's a time of coldness, darkness. Darkness is not good. And we take that shamash, we take that candle, and we ignite the Ner Chanuka that has so much Kedusha, so much tahara in it, and it can put so much Kedusha and tahara into our own lives. We have to recognize the Ribono Shel Olam loves us as an individual child. HaKadosh Baruch Hu loves us, and He walks with us, and He holds our hand in whatever we do and wherever we go. We have to experience that. We have to feel that. That's what Chanuka is. Chanuka is the opportunity to feel that the Ribono Shel Olam is with us at all times. It brings out the light, even in the most dark situations. We should be zocheh this Yom Tov to get a chizuk from the neighbors, to get a chizuk from everything that we see and everything we do. And the Ribono Shel Olam Be'ezah Hashem will answer all of our tefillahs that we say by the menorah, the shivas, the sheshbachos that we sing to the Ribono Shel Olam, the looking, the staring at the neighbors that we do also is so special. The Kedusha that it can bring into our eyes, the most important organ of our body, is so chashuv. Rabbi said, take advantage. Enjoy Chanuka. Enjoy every moment of Chanuka. Look at the neighbors. Stare at the neighbors. Think about how much the Ribono Shel Olam did for us then, the time of the Churban, the time of the Beis Hamikdash, time of the Chashmonaim, and how much He does for us now. Every single day of our lives, we're being held by the Ribono Shel Olam's hand in everything we do. We have to feel that a freilich and a lettich in Chanuka.